video, I'm going to talk about how to structure a bar exam essay answer. To begin our discussion, I want to cover some basic bar exam essay writing principles. These are things for you to keep in mind when writing essay answers on the bar exam. First, remember who your bar exam grader is. A typical bar exam essay grader is a practicing attorney or maybe a judge. Graders usually evaluate essays based on a checklist that tells them how to award points. Additionally, graders are often paid per essay, which means there is an incentive for them to read essays quickly. This is not to say that there is anything intrinsically wrong with this process. I point it out to you because it is important for you to understand the perspective of your grader. If your grader is being paid a fee per essay graded, it is in their best interest to grade essays as quickly as possible. Another thing to keep in mind about essay graders is that after they have read and graded enough of the same essay, they are likely to start skimming essays rather than reading each essay word for word. To make sure that key points stand out in your essay and to your grader, it is a good idea to bold or underline key words and phrases to quickly draw the grader's attention. Because graders read essays quickly, graders value organization. You want to make your essay easy and pleasant for your grader to read. Good organization also makes it easy for your grader to identify that you have addressed the issues and rules, provided a good analysis, and arrived at a conclusion. To write a well-organized essay, use the IRAC format. IRAC stands for Issue, Rule, Analysis, and Conclusion. The issue should be in a heading that is underlined or bolded. Although your essay needs to be well organized and clear, it does not need to contain eloquent writing. You are not going to be graded on the eloquence or creativity of your writing on the bar exam. Remember that your grader is evaluating your essay against a checklist to see if you identified the relevant issues, applied the correct rules, completed an analysis, and arrived at a conclusion. So if your essay is a little choppy, that is all right, as long as you identify the key points and your essay is well organized. Do your best to avoid as many typos as you can and use proper grammar, but beyond that, remember that this is not English class. Finally, be aware that bar exam essays are usually different from your law school exam essays. Bar exam essay questions often tell you what to discuss or provide specific questions. Usually, the call of the question is pretty clear about what the examiners are expecting you to discuss and evaluate. Because they are clear about what you should discuss, you should structure your answer around the call of the question. Now that you have those bar exam essay writing principles in mind, let's talk about how to approach a bar exam essay question. When approaching a bar exam essay question, your goal is to quickly identify the subject being tested and the issues being tested. For most questions, the best way to do this is to start by reading the call of the question. The call of the question is usually at the end of the fact pattern. For example, here is the call of the question for a February 2015 essay question that the National Conference of Bar Examiners has made publicly available on their website. It says, the company has moved to dismiss MedForm's third-party complaint for insufficient service of process, lack of subject matter jurisdiction, and improper joinder. How should the district court rule on each of the grounds asserted in the company's motion to dismiss? Explain. Although it may seem counterintuitive to read the call of the question before reading the fact pattern, there are a couple of reasons to approach an essay question in this way. First, by reading the call of the question, first, you will be able to quickly identify the subject that is being tested. Because the call of the question here references a motion to dismiss, service of process, subject matter jurisdiction, and joinder, we can probably conclude that the subject being tested in this question is civil procedure. Another reason to read the call of the question first is that the call of the question often contains the issues you are expected to address. Here, those issues are how the district court should rule on the motion to dismiss for insufficient service of process, lack of subject matter jurisdiction, and improper joinder. Knowing what subject is being tested and the issues you are expected to address allows you to read the fact pattern with some guidance as to what the facts are going to be and what facts are going to be important in addressing those issues. We call this actively reading the fact pattern. Now that you know how to approach a bar exam essay question, I'm going to explain a general approach to writing a bar exam essay question. As I mentioned earlier, when discussing basic bar exam essay writing principles, the more organized your essay response is, the easier it is for your grader to grade it, and in turn, the more likely it is that your essay is going to receive a higher score. Again, the organizational format you should follow is IRAC. You should follow the IRAC format for each and every issue that the question is asking you to address. For example, if there are 3 issues you need to address, you will have 3 separate IRACs in your answer. If there are 2 issues, you will have 2 IRACs. And if there are 4 issues, you will have 4 IRACs. Each issue will have its own issue heading, rule, analysis, and conclusion. Looking at our example from the February 2015 essay, recall that we have 3 issues to address: insufficient service of process, lack of subject matter jurisdiction, and improper joinder. For each of these issues, you should create an IRAC. The first issue is how the court should rule on the motion to dismiss for insufficient service of process. An appropriate heading for this issue could be Motion to Dismiss for Insufficient Service of Process. Your headings do not need to be fancy or long, but they do need to address the issue accurately. I recommend that you use the language of the call of the question as much as possible when you create your issue headings. That way, you know you are addressing the issue that the examiners are expecting you to address. Also, you don't want to spend a lot of time coming up with an issue heading, so let the examiners do the work for you. Remember to bold or underline your heading to draw attention to it and make it easy for your grader to find. You can see that we have created an IRAC for each of the issues that the February 2015 essay question wanted us to respond to. The heading for the next issue could be Motion to Dismiss for Lack of Subject Matter Jurisdiction. The third heading could be Motion to Dismiss for Improper Joinder. Under each heading would come the rule. Note that you should not write the word rule. We have written the word rule here to remind you of what comes next in the IRAC format. Once you have provided the applicable rule, then move on to the analysis. Again, you are not going to write the word analysis in your essay answer. We have that word here just to remind you what comes next and where the analysis should go. We recommend having a separate paragraph for your rule, for your analysis, and for your conclusion. Because again, from an organizational perspective, using separate paragraphs makes it much easier for your grader to see that you have each relevant portion of the issues discussed. If you write your IRAC in one huge paragraph, it is going to be a lot more difficult for your grader to see that you have included the appropriate rule, analysis, and conclusion for each issue. Finally, your conclusions can be short and sweet. They should usually be a single sentence. Many students are nervous about writing a single sentence conclusion, and so they rewrite sections of their analysis into their conclusion. You don't need to do that. You are not likely to earn any extra points by doing that because your grader has already given you the points for your analysis. Also, rewriting portions of your analysis in your conclusion wastes precious time that you could be spending on the next issue or the next essay. Another thing to keep in mind about your conclusion is that it should answer the issue in your heading. If you find yourself writing a conclusion that does not address the heading or strays from the question being asked, make sure that you address the relevant issues in your conclusion. Also, realize that your grader cannot give you points for discussing issues that are not in the call of the question. So it is important to keep focused on the issues that you were asked to address. Following this approach, every time you answer a bar exam essay question will help save you time and give you more confidence on test day.